Why do I hate Dana White's slap league? Kevin Lee calls out Khamzat, Chimaev, Derek Brunson, and Misfits Boxing. All this and more on today's episode. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to a brand new video. And I'm gonna be honest, every video I mess up that intro, and surprisingly, that intro I got on the first shot. But regardless, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember Q&A every Thursday, so comment your questions. I don't know if the questions will be for this week's Q&A because I already have a lot of questions, or next week. So we're gonna go into it next week or this week. But make sure to comment. I'll answer all questions eventually. Just remember my Audible link is in the description. If you guys want to get a 30-day free trial off Audible, make sure to use my link or go to audibletrial.com/JackWalter with 2 R's. So let's get into this video. Alright, so what is the Power Slap League? Now, this slapping trend has been something that's been to my attention for a while now. To my knowledge, this thing was most popular in Russia and kind of started there and then kind of branched out through social media. And this sport, or so to speak, is a good social media attraction. For those of you guys that don't know, all it is that two people, they stand in front of each other, they slap each other, and the first person to get knocked out or give up or whatever it is loses the fight. And the content itself isn't very hard to explain. Obviously, just two people slapping each other and one of them has to lose. So it's very good for social media and it's very good for low attention span. And because of how popular this was getting on social media, Dana White began to invest and began to create a new sport, so to speak, and make this a legitimate sport by involving athletic commissions and making this a state thing. This is accumulated in Dana White having his own show called the Power Slap League on TBS, and it's going to start this January. So what's wrong with it? Why don't I like this? First of all, I think this is a bad move on Dana's part because Dana, from the very beginning of starting the UFC, has wanted to make MMA and fighting not be so barbarian. People outside of fans of the sport really look at, boxing, MMA, they look at it as kind of just violent. They look at it as like animalistic. But the truth is that MMA is a sport. As much as football is a sport, soccer is a sport, all of this, it's a sport. This is something that requires tons of technique, and this isn't something that can be easily learned. I mean, people dedicate sometimes over 18 years of their lives to this. Sometimes they start when they're children, and they're going up against people that have also devoted a huge part of their life to the sport as well. And I hate to break it to you guys, but the Power Slap League really does not require a lot of technique. At the end of the day, you're slapping, and yes, I know that there's technique involved in how you move your head and how you defend against the slaps. I got that. Trust me, I know that. I wasn't just born here. I get that there's technique on how you throw the slap. This is, at the end of the day, asking people to get CTE. Look, the sad truth about sports like MMA, football, boxing, contact sport, there's going to be concussions and there's going to be brain damage, sadly. And this is something that, you could of course try to avoid by implementing rules like medical suspensions and doctor records. And also, of course, you could fix this by having promotions like the UFC have such good medical services. But sadly, people are going to get CTE. And look, MMA is such a new thing that we haven't really seen it to the extreme. CTE can be very bad, like you see with Muhammad Ali. He had a lot of problems later in life. And yes, it might not be because of his, brain damage. Yes, it might have been from other things, but I'm sure getting hit in the head for a living did not help him. And when you see a lot of these MMA legends passing away, especially recently, like Stephen Bonner, Anthony Johnson, I mean, you have to wonder, does their profession have anything to do with this? Does their CTE have anything to do with this? Personally, I think it might, and I'm scared to see if this is going to result. For me personally, I think it does, and I'm scared to see if this is going to be a start of so many other deaths in the sport. And for the millionth time, look, technically Anthony Johnson, and I don't know what Stephen Bonner died of. I don't think it's been revealed, but yes, it might not directly be because of getting hit in the head. It might not be because, they got hit in the head so much that that's a clear cause of death. No, like getting hit in the head and having brain damage could cause a whole bunch of problems like shaking, memory loss, so many brain diseases you can get that probably are more likely to happen because of getting hit in the head so much. And that's why it's important to have so much medical care. And for the Power Slap League, yes, you could have, once again, medical care. And I trust that the UFC is going to implement some sort of help for the athletes that are putting themselves on the line for the slap league. However, getting hit in the head with basically no defense is just asking for some CTE problems, and that's why I don't like the sport. Look, at the end of the day, of course, there's UFC fans that really only like the violence and only like the knockouts. I like to think that at least a handful, because yes, I don't think this is the majority, but I like to think that at least a handful respects the technique, and I could tell from my comment section, people love talking about the technique, people love talking about the wrestling, people love talking about the ground game, people don't just love the knockouts, and that's the kind of UFC fan I am. I respect the martial art, I respect everything, and I don't feel like my type of crowd is going to be attracted to this Power Slap League. And now I'm hearing that Forrest Griffin's going to be a part of it, catching the people. This might be big for TBS, might be big for Dana White. Personally, it's not for me. Let me know what you guys think about this whole Power Slap League. Are you going to be watching? Are you enjoying it? What do you think about the repercussions of it in the future? Comment below and let me know. Alright, Kevin Lee's in the news. Obviously, look, Kevin Lee, he got cut from the UFC a while ago. In my opinion, was a little prematurely cut. A lot of controversy with his management and why he got cut, but that's a story. If you guys want me to do a whole video on the whole management and against the UFC, you guys can comment below and I'll make sure to do a whole video. I'm not gonna get into it here. Basically, he had a falling out with the UFC, the management, and people say that's what kind of resulted to Kevin Lee's cut from the UFC. Kevin Lee last fought on Eagle FC, Habib's promotion, where he fought against Diego Sanchez. Well, Kevin Lee is in the news because he called out Khamzat Chimaev. You know, the reason I made this video is because I saw the level of social media love that Kevin Lee got for this, and I saw a lot of people saying, this is the fight to make, sign Kevin Lee to the UFC, this is the guy to stop Khamzat Chimaev. And I gotta say, Khamzat has been really quiet since this call out, and I'm really concerned. I think someone should go check on him. He might be hiding under his cover somewhere, or he's just hiding from the scale. No, but obviously I'm kidding. I thought this was a funny call out. I think he got prematurely cut. He had that good knockout of Gregor Gillespie, and then I think about a year later he got cut, or maybe 2 years later, something like that. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Kevin, I'm not gonna ask. All right, Misfits Boxing. What is Misfits Boxing? I don't really do much videos on the whole YouTube boxing scene. It is something that I'm kind of interested in, and I do like a few of the matchups, and specifically I like what Misfits is doing, and I'm gonna be talking about that in a second. And I was interested in it when it first started too. So what is Misfits Boxing? So for my UFC fans that don't really know and don't follow this whole YouTube thing, Misfits Boxing is a promotion ran by the YouTuber KSI and his management and another promoter that basically puts on these YouTuber fights and these crossover events. For my UFC fans, they were going to put on Hasim Rahman Jr. versus Vitor Belfort, and the week of, Vitor Belfort pulled out and Greg Hardy stepped in and fought Hasim Rahman Jr. Hasim Rahman Jr. is a pro boxer who was set to fight Jake Paul, didn't make weight the week of the fight, so the whole fight was canceled. But Misfits Boxing has revealed that there's only going to be one belt in Misfits Boxing, just like how the UFC does. Although this is crossover boxing and this isn't like a serious boxing fight, I think that Misfits has a lot of potential because I like what they're doing. I like that they embellish the idea of that fans make fights. At the end of the day, who gives a fuck about how much this guy has on his record or how much this guy has? At the end of the day, fans know, right? When Michael Chandler fought Justin Gaethje, nobody was like, oh, Michael Chandler lost, he sucks. No, we were like, oh, that was a fun fight. We understand that was a semi-close fight, and it was just a fun fight for Michael Chandler to throw. Same thing with this, and I respect that they do that. And this is one of those organizations that I hope break into regular boxing because I really like what they're doing, and I think that they have a knack for promoting, and their setup is very good. It's very professional, and it's very easy to look at. I feel like it dumbs down boxing for non-boxing fans, and that's what I really like about it. And it just makes it kind of like, it reminds me a lot of the UFC, if I'm being honest, except without that hunger. I don't think it has that hunger yet. I like the idea that we're gonna have one belt for each weight class. Obviously, KSI fighting Dylan Dennis. I'm gonna be doing more videos as we get closer to that fight. I have a video already up if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, I'm super excited for Misfits and their future. All right, final story of the day. Derek Brunson is not retiring anymore. I've talked about this before, and I feel like I broke the story because nobody was talking about this. Everyone thought that Derek Brunson was retired. I told everybody, no, he just said recently that he was not going to retire. Point is, he's not retiring. He wants to fight 4 times next year. He just pulled out of his fight with Jack Hermanson. He was supposed to retire, fight Jack Hermanson in Orlando. That was going to be it. And I mean, look, when you look at it logistically, Derek Brunson was at the top of the division. He lost to Jared Cannonier by knockout, but he won the first round. He dropped Jared in the first round. So I don't think you should be so discouraged. And I'm not going to sit here and say, hey man, he's definitely going to win a championship. But when you have Alex Bejeda as the champion, things definitely open up. I mean, Derek Brunson's wrestling, in my opinion, is super underrated. His ground and pound is super underrated. Whenever he fights, I'm just like, when I watch him fight, I kind of cringe a little bit, because of that ground and pound. I'm just like, oh no, like I don't want to watch that, but I watched it anyway because I'm a sociopath. All right, well, that's going to conclude this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, leave a comment what you think about any of these stories. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, leave questions for the Q&A. All right, I'm going to see you guys in the next one.